take 152. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Morning Vibe, the Monday edition. Guys, I hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. Whether you're watching from near, here, or far, we sure do appreciate you joining us here on the Morning Vibe, where we have got two very, very special guests in studio with us today. We got Miss Sophia and Tori, and they are local servers here in Navarre. But first, I want to address the fact that these ladies are like local celebrities, okay? Like, I know you guys don't realize that because I don't guess I've ever seen you guys in any of Frank's videos. Have you guys done any? No. Do you ever fish with Frank?
No, not really.
Come on, man. That's your dad. You got to fish with him. So you guys know Frank. You've seen him on the channel before. You've seen him on our social media. It's the guy from Saltwater Yankees down in Navarre, Florida. Runs a great fishing channel down there. But these are his daughters. I did a wedding with one of Frank's buddies here a couple weeks ago. And I'd put out a post on social media. I was like, hey, I'm looking for servers to do a podcast with me. We're just randomly walking off the beach one day, and Frank's like, hey, two of my daughters are servers. And I'm like, hey, you should have sent me a message. I'm like, you literally have my phone number. Why did you not text me? So shot Frank a text. See, I'm getting all tongue-tied already. I'll let you all talk so I don't have to do this anymore. Shot Frank a text earlier this week, and we got this lined out. But we got a special one. And the whole idea behind this series is to talk to people in the service industry, essentially here in a tourist town, because it's way different. It's way different when you're a server in a tourist town or a bartender or a Lyft driver or something like that. And we want to get these guys war stories. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to start off nice and simple, and we're going to ask them, what is the best thing that's ever happened to you? Or maybe not the best, the funniest thing that's ever happened to you while you were serving?
Okay, I'll go first.
You're just going to just jump in there and go first like that? I like it.
I volunteer, I guess.
All right.
So, I'd say the funniest thing was, like, not even a week ago, like, maybe just a few days ago. I was working the counter, because I kind of work everything when we're working. So I was working the counter, and this couple came up, and the guy and the girl, they were talking about what they should get. And first, the guy asked her, he was like, do you want to get fried mushrooms? And she goes, no, I don't like mushrooms. And he goes, how do you not like mushrooms? You're from the north. And I go, yeah, me too, because I'm also from the north, and I also do not like mushrooms. So, but right before I said, yeah, me too, she goes, I only like the magical kind. I did not register what she said. And she had one eye looking that way, and one eye looking that way. And I did not clarify the fact that I actually do not eat magical mushrooms.
Well, two things I got to comment on this. Hang on, wait. When I see you say she had one eye looking that way and one eye looking that way, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie. Sing was the name of it. It was with all the like little animals. And
I know what you're talking about.
His secretary. It was like the strangest thing ever, because when she was like talking, anytime the camera was on her, she would like she was a gecko, I guess is what she was, and her eyes were all over the place. Like one eye was like looking over in that corner, and one eye was like looking down at the ground at like a bug or something. And that's all I can think of when you said that. And the fact that she was on magical mushrooms was. Is that like something you guys do up in Pennsylvania? Is that the norm? Like you guys just like sit around and gnaw on stuff that grows out of poop? Or, that's why mushrooms are so psychedelic, because they grow out of animal poop. That's what happens. So
I didn't know that.
Either. That's where the vast majority of like the crazy mushrooms come from. And, like morel mushrooms, stuff like that. They're all funguses, but they just grow out in the wild. But a lot of the ones that these people are chewing to get magic, they grow out of poop.
Yeah, and she was like, maybe that's why they taste bad.
That's probably why they taste bad.
and I look a lot younger than what I actually am. As I get that a lot when I'm working. So I went back to the back and I told my manager what happened. He was like, they probably think you're 11 doing shrooms. And I'm like,
I don't know that 16 and doing shrooms are any better though. At that point, if I'm being honest with you. So all right, I don't know if you're gonna be able to top that one.
I got it.
Oh, she said, "I got this." Just put down your microphone and watch this.
So I have this girl, and she comes in. Every once in a while I see her, not a whole lot, but she comes in every once in a while. And this one day she decided to come in. And we weren't busy, but we were busy. And I had another girl work with me at this moment, and I didn't serve her this time. I usually do. She knows who I am. She knows my name, and so I don't know if she's like I don't want to be mean, but I don't know if she's like homeless or anything, but she usually carries a bag,
Sure.
And she probably doesn't have a lot of money. But so the girl, and you have to be very patient with her. Like you have to just like kind of talk to her like slow and make her understand what you're kind of saying. And the girl I was working with was taking an order and all that. Then it comes time to pay, and she comes up to the register, and her credit cards aren't working, and she's just getting mad. Like she won't let the girl I'm working with do anything for her. So the girl I'm working with is like, Tori, like come take care of this. I can't deal with this right now. So she walks away, and I walk over there, and I'm like, look, you're fine. I'll get your meal today. Like, just, it's okay. Just leave. Just go.
Yeah.
And she's just like, come here. Like, tell me to, like, kind of go over the counter with her. And I was like,
When you said come here, I thought you was talking about she wanted you to go with her. I'm like,
I don't know.
Please
No.
tell me you did not go with her.
No. She wanted me to leave over the counter. She could tell me a secret. And I was like, I don't know you. I don't want to get that close to you. You just give off a weird vibe. And I was like, I think I'm okay. But I kind of like just like went like this. And she was like, you look very plump today. And I was like, what are you talking about? The girl I was working with, her mouth drops to the floor.
And just like that, I'm not buying your lunch anymore. Like, no, I don't want to do that anymore. She straight up called you plump.
Yeah, she was like, you look very, and she said it in like a than usual, like more plump than usual. I was like, well, I haven't done anything.
I mean, she had to have been trying to use a different word. Like, I understand what she said, and I know what that means. That she had to have been talking about, like, maybe you were like perky or like happy or something. Maybe to her, plump meant maybe she was eating magical mushrooms out back with Sophia. I mean, that could have, maybe that's what prompted that whole.
Probably. She's a character sometimes.
Yeah, it was, it was crazy. I used to work in the banking industry, and we had a guy that would religiously, he would come in, and he was homeless. I mean, he walked up and down the streets, and he pushed a basket cart, and he collected cans. And this guy was, and I guess this is like the nature of some homeless people. He was terrified that people were going to steal his cans. And every time when I was PNC Bank in LaGrange, I'll never forget it. But anytime he would come in the bank, he would bring his cart in to the bank with him. And you could always tell because, I mean, obviously, aluminum cans, metal basket cart. You can imagine what that sounds like rolling through a quiet bank. It's one thing if you're rolling it through the parking lot at Walmart, but this dude's like rolling it through a quiet bank, so you always knew. But he was always super polite, but he always went to the same teller. And it was funny. I'd literally seen him come in there, and her name was Libby, and she was our head teller. She was an older lady. But if he came in and she was at lunch, he would literally go sit on the bench, and it didn't matter if she had just left. And we'd like, she won't be back for an hour. He would sit right there, and he would wait for an hour. So they definitely get into a mode of, I mean, obviously somebody that's nice to them, that's who they want to deal with.
Yeah.
So no doubt you've made an impression on her at some point.
Yeah,
And that's why she wants to come in and talk to you. And I'm not sure why she called you plump. I will warn you, if you do start doing stuff with your dad on video, that you guys probably won't have to deal with this, but like people call me plump all the time, and they're not very nice about it. They're just like, "Hey, fat boy, learn how to fish." And I'm like, "Hey, I'm fat. Sorry, it's just what it is." And after that, yours might be the same thing. I don't know if you have anything to top that. What's the worst thing that's ever happened to you while you were serving?
The worst thing, I would just say the rude customers.
Really, do you have a lot of them?
Oh yeah, all the time.
At least once a week.
At least once a day.
And guys, that's another reason I want to do this. Like, and I talked about this when we sat down with a bartender from out in Perdido Key. Both these young ladies work at Buzz Barbecue down in Navarre. I don't think I mentioned that, but it's so important to be nice to your servers. Most of the time, and I talked about this when I sat down with the bartender there a couple weeks ago, and when I walk into a restaurant, especially if I'm in a tourist town like this, like if you're on the beach or if you're in Navarre or something like that, just read the room. Like if you look up and you see 150 people and 3 servers, and the servers are like working their butts off, like be nice, be patient. It's not hard. So, just take a step back. And I mean, you're going to get your cheeseburger, your pulled pork sandwich. You're not going to die. None of us are going to starve to death waiting on our food. It's fine. So, what's the rudest customer you've ever had since you've been serving?
Mine would have to be okay.
You don't have to name names. You don't even have to name genders if you don't want. Just tell the story. Yeah.
So one day I was really busy, and like we do it all where we work. We kind of, we serve, we food run, we do it all at the same time. So whenever I'm busy,
Have you guys ever contacted the labor department about that? Or is that no, I'm just joking.
But whenever like I'm really busy, it gets very overwhelming. So like I'm trying to take care of 5 different tables at one time, and more people are coming in. The phone's going off. You try to get the phone. You try to run their food out. But the one time this guy came in with his wife, and he was asking me. He was like, "Are they chicken tenders? Are they chicken tenders?" And I was like, "Yeah, they're chicken tenders." And he was like,
As opposed to what?
I don't know. I think he thought they were going to be like smoked chicken tenders or something.
Maybe he was from Pennsylvania. You thought they were magic mushroom tenders.
Probably.
Don't
But-
share a secret.
Yeah, he had asked that, and I was like, yeah, they're like chicken tenders. And he's like, okay, I'll take that. That's what I want. And I was like, okay. So I go put it in, and then I bring it back out, and I sit the chicken tenders down in front of him. And he, like, kind of looks at them, and he just gives me a look. And I was like, oh, great.
You
So
already knew.
I
didn't
knew
you?
something
Like,
was
yeah,
coming.
you knew something was coming.
Yeah, so I had walked away really fast because I was trying to get drinks for a different table and trying to check these people out. And he was just sitting there looking all grumpy. And I was like, I do not want to go over there right now. But I go over there, and he, like, picks up the basket, and he's like, these chicken tenders are unacceptable. And he threw it down on the table. The chicken tenders go flying over the table. And I was like, what
So
are
he
you
essentially
talking
threw food
about?
at you. Yeah.
I was like,
Like, what? I mean, did he ever offer you an explanation of what exactly he was?
No, I was like, well, I mean, you asked for chicken tenders. I was like, do you want something else?
Like, okay, guys, okay, this is what I'm talking about. This is the problem with America today. If you walk in and, like, you order, like, let's say you're a steak connoisseur and you order a New York strip and they bring you a ribeye. I get that. Like, I do. I'm not saying it's okay to act like that, but I get that. Like, if you like really know your steak and they bring you out a strip and you were supposed to get a ribeye, still doesn't justify that reaction. But guys, we're talking about chicken tenders. This is you ordered off the kid menu and threw it. I mean, maybe that makes sense. Like I mean, I get chicken tenders all the time. I love chicken tenders, but I guess I don't understand exactly what he was looking for.
I really don't. I asked him. I was like, do you want like a pulled pork sandwich instead or something? And he was like, fine, whatever. So then I give him his pulled pork sandwich, and they come up to check out. And the way our old system had worked was the tip screen. We just flip it, and we're like, if
Oh,
you want to
Lord.
leave a tip, go ahead. It's the
wouldn't
most awkward thing ever.
I wouldn't have even turned it around. I'd have just
Well,
been like,
I did, because you have to. And I was like, so this is going to ask you a question. And I kind of looked away. I was like, I think I was doing something. And I kind of looked in the corner, and he's like, no tip. And I was like, okay.
I mean, here's what you see. This is why I could never be a server. This is a prime example of exactly why I can never do what you guys do. Not in a million years. Because what I would have done is I would have found a way to program that, and when I turned it around, all it would have had was pictures of chicken tenders on it, like with the Webster's dictionary, like description of what a chicken tender is, and then right under it, it would have been like, "Don't be an asshole." Like it would have said that right underneath of it. So, what about you, Sophia? What's the rudest customer experience you've ever had?
I would say not too long after I had just started working, I just started like going off into myself, being my own server with no one else joining me.
Not Shem. What she's talking about is you spend a certain amount of time shadowing another server
Yeah.
when you first start, and this was one of her first days on her own.
Yes. So it had been really busy that day, so I was like, okay, this is always gonna suck. And this family that came in, and it was two different families sitting across from each other, and it was just after their wedding too. And
Their wedding?
Yeah, one of the.
Okay.
So it was a wedding, and then the friend. The friend was the one who was mean, like with his wife and his children. And he had called earlier, like maybe 3 hours earlier. It was like, do you have this, like, I think it's like the fatty part of a brisket, or like part of a brisket that he really
Yeah.
wanted. And I was like, I mean, yeah, right now we do, but I can't promise you in a certain
Sure.
amount of time. First come, first serve. So then he comes in, and he's like, okay, I want to order this. But he comes in 3 hours later, and we're all out of it. So I tell him that we're all out, but our brisket's really good. And, there's nothing, like, bad about it. And he throws a whole fit about it. And he starts yelling at me and everything. And he, like, puts his head down on the ground. Or, not on the ground.
On the ground.
I mean,
Oh
on
my
the
gosh.
table.
We just went to a whole other level. The dude's literally burying his hand in the sand over brisket.
Puts his head on the table. Looks like he's about to start crying because I don't have this certain kind of brisket. And so everyone around the table starts ordering their orders. Put them all on my, like, little pad thingy. And I, like, eventually just asked for, like, a half chicken plate, which is the option we have. And so I go to the back, put it all in, and then the food starts coming out. And I realize, where is this half chicken plate? I had
no.
never put the food in. So I look over,
Oh no.
and, like, everything's pre-made, though. So, like, it's not hard to make one really fast. He had went to the restroom. So I go up to the table, and I'm like, hey, do you guys remember what sides he had? And the wife looks at me, and she goes, oh, no, did you not put it in yet? And I was like, I mean, I just need to know the sides real quick. And she goes, he's going to be really mad. So I look up like, okay, trying not to cry. I go and, like, refill some people's drinks because it's super busy, so I had to kind of multitask and not cry at the same time. And eventually he comes out, and I ask him what he wants for a side, and he's just, never mind, I don't want it anymore. And he, like, puts his head back on the table, refuses to look at me all night long. And I walk up to refill his drink at one point, and he's talking about me to the other people. A 16-year-old girl and some, like, 40 guy talking.
And mind you hit the nail on the head. A grown man talking about a 16-year-old
Yes.
girl who, let me not, in case you forgot the last 30 seconds, buried his head and almost cried over the fatty part of the brisket. Not the good part, the fatty. The dude buried it. Come on, man. Like, if you're watching this, if you're a fan, I'm sorry, but you can't do that. Like, man up. I mean, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, you can look at me. I've cried in a restaurant before. Like, if I walk in and it's sometimes like, if I walked into McGuire's tonight and I ordered my steak and they're like, we're out of that, I would cry. I wouldn't blame you. It's not your fault, but I would definitely cry a little inside.
Right.
So I'm just being honest with you, but I wouldn't hold it against my server.
So eventually, I just don't give him anything, and I'm just kind of ignoring
Do you still charge
him.
him for it?
No, I took it off his thing. I didn't want to deal with any more of that.
No, I wouldn't think
And
so.
I think everyone at the table they were kind of fed up with him, and the children pulled me aside, and they were like,
It's getting so much better.
the children pulled me aside, and they're like, "This is the best brisket I've ever had."
Yes.
How much they love the barbecue. It's the best they've ever had. And eventually, time goes by, and he comes up to pay. And I'm like, okay, your total is so and so. And he goes, that's not right. I'm like, yeah, it is. Here it is. This is it. This is what you got. He was like, no, it's not. And then the couple behind him, who had just finished their wedding, were like, yeah, huh? That's what you ordered. And he's like, psh, whatever. I can't fix it anyways. And so then I go, okay, one more thing. It's just going to ask you this real quick before you
Oh
pay.
my gosh. So you
The
spun
tips options as well. And he just looks at me, and he, like, I felt his finger. Like, he pushed so hard on the no tip button. But then his wife tipped me pretty well after.
That's,
he left.
yes. And that's one of those situations where everybody has that friend, right? I think we can all agree that everybody's got that one friend that just doesn't know how to handle themselves in public or in a restaurant or whatever the situation may be. And you can, you reach a certain point where you do get fed up with them. We had a guy that went out with us. He was part of our circle of friends back when we lived in Kentucky, and it drove me crazy because Sarah and I mean, if you've ever talked to anybody that's ever waited on us, they would vouch for us. We tip really well. We always have. I've never been a server, but we ran karaoke for years, so we were working in bars and restaurants. So we had a lot of friends that were, servers. So we've always taken care of our servers. We understand how hard they work. And it used to drive me crazy because we would go out with him and he would not tip, or he would tip like 50 cents. And I'm like, bro, like, what are you doing? Like, we've been sitting at this table for an hour and 45 minutes and you just tipped our server 50 cents. Like, what are you doing? It's one thing, like, I will tell you this. I can honestly sit here and say, I've only had one time. Correct me if I'm. Has there ever been another time besides Applebee's that night? So she knows exactly what I'm talking about. I'm a very tolerant patron. If I walk in and you're busy, and you forget to fill my drink, or something happens, or I'm very, very tolerant. I get it. Like, stuff happens. But we went to Applebee's one night. It was New Year's Eve. No one was there. There was literally like 3 tables, and that was it. Our server was, I don't know what he was doing. He was not being attentive. So he got our drinks. He walks over and he leans over and he starts talking to the bartender. 25 minutes goes by and he still hasn't taken our order. And he's not waiting on anybody else. Okay, I want to make sure I set this correctly. It's not like he's running around to other tables and waiting on it. If he had been doing that, no problem. Like, I had no issue at all. He's literally leaning on the bar. So finally, I wave him down. He comes over and he takes our order. Don't see him again. He didn't offer to refill our drinks when he took our orders. We'd already been there for 25 minutes. Didn't see him again until he brought the food out. Didn't offer to refill our drinks then either. So I asked him, I'm like, hey, can we get some refills? I kid you not. He was like, oh, yeah. I've only had three interactions with this dude so far all night. I've done nothing to him to make him be acting like this. So he goes and he gets our drink, and he comes back, and I'm like, can I have some A1? Same thing. Oh. He walks off, and he goes, am I exaggerating at all? So he goes and he gets the A1, and he brings it back, and I'd had my fill. He brought me an empty A1 bottle. Completely.
What?
I'm not talking about like if there'd have been a little bit in it, I would have been perfectly fine. He brought me an empty A1 bottle. That was it. I was like, I turned into male Karen at that point. And I was like, I need to see your manager. I'm like, I got to talk to your manager. And I told the manager, what had happened. I did, and he was like, "We'll take care of your meal." I was like, "Nope, absolutely not." I was like, "It's not your all's fault. I don't want you to take care of my meal. I just want you to address it with him so it doesn't happen to anybody else." And I didn't tip him. That's the only time in my adult life I've not left a tip, ever. I gotta catch my breath. That's what happens when you're fat. And plus, I think it's because I can feel myself breathing into this microphone, and I can't with those. Like, I'm a little jealous because they've got the good stuff tonight, and I don't. I'll let you all use the good equipment. What's the biggest tip you've ever gotten?
$50.
Yeah, I'd say about somewhere between 30 and 50.
Was it a big table, or was it like a surprise $30 or $50?
So I had these 2 old people come in, and they were sweet to me. So
You gotta get a little closer,
Oh,
because
sorry.
the more comfortable you get, the farther away you get, and the quieter you talk. You're like, you can tell Tori's starting to settle in. She's like, all right, we're gonna kick back and do this.
Anyways, I had these 2 older people come in. They were really nice. So I was obviously, overly sweet to them. And they're walking out, and they were like, "This is for you." And they slid on the table, and I was like, "No." And I almost started crying, so it was so sweet.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
What about you?
Mine, I kind of have 2. Well, they're not really stories. They're really short.
Yeah, that's fine.
But one person just came in, and they had like a $30 meal. And they paid me I think it was maybe $40. They wanted to make it like an even 80. They're like, "Let's just make this even for you." And they like put it through, and I was like, "Are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure you want to do that?" And they're like, "Oh yeah." And then they left, and I was like, "Okay." And then another guy had just came in again like a few days ago, maybe the same day of this room story. I'm not gonna lie.
It was her brother.
And he's a really big brainiac. He's been going there he's always been going there since it first started. And he goes in there and he puts his headphones on and he just sits and plays at his computer. And he has his food to the side. He eats it. He gets his own refills of drinks and everything and just plays on his computer. And at the end, he just came in and he tipped me like $40, same as his meal. And he's like, "Yeah, here, there you go, just keep it." And I was like, "Are you sure? I don't know if that math is right." And he's like, "Oh yeah, because this calculation with this calculation equals this, and there you go." And I was like, "Okay."
You're like, that works for me. I'm not gonna disagree with you. The only thing I've ever done that like was tip based, I did deliver pizzas. Actually, when her and I first got married 20 years ago, I loved delivering pizzas. It was like I worked a full-time job, but for whatever reason, I really, really enjoyed delivering pizzas. And one night we're super busy. I was delivering for Little Caesars in Kentucky, and these guys called, and they ordered like $180 worth of pizza, and for delivery, which is always like a scary thing, because if somebody calls and orders, if it's not a call ahead order, and they just call, if it's one thing if you come in and you got an order for 7 o'clock that's going to be $180 worth of pizza, it's like that doesn't startle you. When somebody calls in and order, you're like, this is fake.
Yeah.
So we call him back just like you're supposed to do. And he's like, no, he's like, I promise you, we're completely legit. He's like, we'll take care of the driver. So we make the pizzas, take him out to his house. It was Little Caesar, so they were only like $5. It was the $5 hot and readies. So I get all the pizzas packed into the house, and he comes out and he gives me $500. And I was like, your total's only 180. He's like, oh, I know. It's like, I told him I'd take care of the driver.
Oh my.
And I was like, I'm sorry, I left out the best part. They're smashed, right? Like they're tore up. Like they are all just like as drunk as they can be. So I don't even know if we were together for this. I think this was before you and I got, because it was right before that. And like I asked him like 3 times. I'm like, are you sure? I'm like, you understand you're tipping me $320, right? And he's like, yeah, man. I was like, I told him I'd take care of you. And that whole night, I was like so stressed that he was gonna like sober up and call back and be like, man, I accidentally gave the pizza driver $300 extra. I only wanted to give him 20, but he never called back. So I got a $320 tip one time, and I still don't know if he meant to do it, because like, if you could have seen this guy, I don't think he was, even when I said you're tipping me $320, all he heard was magic mushrooms. Like, I'm pretty sure that's all he was hearing at that point. Well, let's see. What's anything you guys want to add? We're getting close to the timeline. We try to keep these around 30 minutes. Anything you guys want to add about serving that people should know, like be nice and all that kind of good stuff?
I mean, not really. I think just the coolest thing to me about serving is the people that you like realize that come in like over and over and over again. They become regulars. I think that's just so cool. Like we have one guy, he comes in every single day,
Yeah.
And he gets the same exact thing with the same exact total. We even have a whole discount for him now because he comes in every single day.
Really?
Pulled
Yeah,
pork
it's like-
sandwich with wheat bun and
And
either sweet
baked
potato
beans.
fries.
Potato fries.
Dude, you're doing it right. They know exactly what you order every time you come in, so you are doing it right, for real. Anything you want to add, Miss Sophia?
Yeah, I would say I'm gonna go with Tori's. The coolest thing about serving is I like to see, like you said, in a tourist town, is everyone coming from different states, different countries. Like one person will come in and they were telling me all about how they just backpacked all around America, and the next person come in was like a old couple holding like arms and they're going to like this play at Pensacola after this. And then one person just got married and they're coming in and eating.
Yeah.
So everyone comes in, they'll all tell me their stories or they'll give me like life advice. And I have so much life advice. And one couple even gave me like advice where I should keep a book where I write down the different people that come in, the different stories they tell me, and make them like, because I told them I wanted to be a writer at one point, and they told me I could like make them characters in the book if I ever write it.
That's actually a very good idea. Like I mean, because you do meet such a wide variety. This is one of the. I mean, it's one of the coolest things. You know, we talk about it as content creators. You guys have heard me, kind of switch gears here a little bit. You guys have heard me talk about that 100 times. You know, we get to encounter our audience a lot, more so than most people out there. But it's because a lot of our audience comes here, and they're from all walks of life. So that would definitely be a cool thing to see, in the service. And I didn't even think about that you have so many different like variations of people. The only thing I could think of that you would get more of a wide variety would be like Disney World.
Right.
Because if you were like a server or something, can you imagine the different people that come through Disney World like on a daily basis? Because the people come from all over the world. People come from all over the world here, but not to the scale that they do there. It would be completely wild.
And we grew up in a really, really small town in Pennsylvania. Like, I think our graduating class was less than 80.
Mine was like 23.
Yeah, like, really, really small. And you'd be walking down the street and someone would be like, oh, I know your grandma who lives in Ohio. And you live in Pennsylvania. You're like, you know my grandma? And the next person's like, oh, yeah, I'm actually a far-out relative of yours. And you're like, what?
You are in Pennsylvania. Let's be honest here. All right, so I got one question for the two of you. What did you do so bad in life, that God punished you by giving you a father who's a Tennessee Volunteers fan? Like, you had to have done something like that, God was like, you know what? I'm going to torture these girls. Like, there had to have been something that, I'm just joking with you guys. I give Frank crap all the time because I'm a Kentucky fan and he's a Tennessee. How did he become a Tennessee fan? And not a word from you. I want to know from them, how did he become a Tennessee Volunteers fan?
I don't
even know. I wondered that every single night, actually.
So are you guys not Tennessee fans?
Oh, I just like the color.
I don't watch football.
I don't really watch football
Well,
either.
I mean, if you're a Tennessee fan, it's probably best that you don't. If we're being honest, this is the greatest thing ever because he can't say a word. He's just over there in the corner, and he knows he can't talk because I'm like, you can sit in here, but you got to be quiet. And I was waiting for this moment. Like, this is what I was waiting for. So you just like them because of the colors. Do you think he likes them because of the colors, or do you think they got good-looking cheerleaders, or what? Your mom's not in here. It's fine.
I really honestly don't know. I don't know how football works. I don't know.
Have
if
you
they're
ever
good
lived
or
in
not.
Tennessee?
No, my mom did.
Is that how you became a Tennessee fan?
No. Peyton Manning.
Oh my God! Did you? Oh my gosh! What a homer! What a homer, man! Like, you don't see me sitting over here like I'm a Florida Gators fan because of Tim Tebow. Not at all. Not even remotely close. So I get Frank. Guys, I can't even express to you how bad it. Frank drives a big bright orange. Dodge Ram. So it's not hard to find the saltwater Yankees. Like, if you want to find his fishing spots, just look for his truck. It's not hard to be like, if you see Frank on Facebook with a big fish, just go out and look for his truck. You can find his spot like that quick. It's not even hard. Like, you need, which I can't say anything. I got cameraman Ron plastered on everything I own. So it's not hard, but I don't really have that many spots. So it's not a problem. Anything else you ladies want to add before we wrap this up?
No.
Nope.
No, they're shut down. They're done. Well, ladies, thank you guys so much for coming on the show. We greatly appreciate you. Again, guys, we're going to continue this series. You guys responded to it really well last week. We just want to highlight some of these service industry jobs in a tourist town because at the end of the day, this is what makes tourist towns function. Lyft drivers, servers, bartenders, food runners, all these people work together to make your vacation experience a good one. So, guys, I truly appreciate you all. I truly hope you liked this episode. If you did, give it a great big thumbs up. As always, Make sure you find a way to make somebody smile. You never know. It just might change the world. We can't wait to see y'all on the next one. Y'all take care. We'll see you soon.